It started with a single line on a printed paper, just a name, but that one name, Jungkook, written where it should have said Jimin, sent shockwaves through millions of BTS fans worldwide. On October 12, 2025, fans attending Jimin's solo art exhibition in Santiago, Chile, titled The Truth Untold, noticed something strange. The official merchandise guide distributed at the event didn't match the artist it was celebrating. Right on the front page, in bold text, it read, "Visit Guide, Jungkook's Exhibition, The Truth Untold." Within hours, the image spread across X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Weverse. Fans were stunned. How could HYBE, a global entertainment giant, managing one of the world's biggest artists, make such a basic, painful mistake? It didn't take long for armies to speak up. Under the hashtags #HYBEBeCareful, #RESVCJMIN, and #JMINMERCHFAL, thousands of fans voiced their anger and disappointment. Some called it an innocent typo. Others called it a pattern, a reflection of how HYBE has often been accused of mishandling BTS's solo activities. "It's not about a mistake. It's about respect," wrote one fan from Seoul. Jimin worked for months on this exhibition. His art, his vision, his story. How could they confuse his name with Jungkook's? Even more concerning, the error appeared both online and offline, suggesting it wasn't just a last-minute printing mishap. It had passed through multiple approval stages before reaching the public. BY Evening, global media outlets like Sportskita and Music Mundial picked up the story. Words like sloppy, careless, and tone-deaf filled the headlines. For a company that built its empire on BTS's global success, this was more than a PR hiccup. It was a reminder that even the biggest names can falter when they forget the heart of their empire, the fans and the artists themselves. To understand why this incident hit so hard, one must look beyond the surface. Jimin and Jungkook aren't just names. They are two of the most beloved figures in global music, brothers in spirit, each carving his path after years of shared history under BTS. Jimin's The Truth Untold exhibition was meant to showcase his artistic identity, the quiet, reflective side that often hides behind his stage persona. It was a deeply personal project born from his time in the military, expressing emotions of isolation, growth, and self-love. When fans saw Jungkook's name printed over Jimin's creation, it wasn't just a typo. It felt like erasure. "We love both Jimin and Jungkook," one Chilean fan said tearfully in a local interview. "But when you confuse them like this, it feels like the company doesn't see them as individuals, just members of BTS. They're more than that." The mistake reopened an old wound in the fandom, a long-standing fear that HYBE still prioritizes branding over artistry, efficiency over emotion. As the controversy escalated, fans waited and waited for an official response, but HYBE said nothing, an apology, an clarification, not even a quiet edit on their website. Hours turned into days, and that silence began to feel deafening. The company that once prided itself on transparency and communication with fans was now acting like nothing had happened. In the absence of answers, armies started drawing their own conclusions. Some speculated that the label's silence was a tactic, a way to let the storm fade. Others saw it as a reflection of HYBE's growing distance from BTS's emotional roots. If this was a Western artist, their label would have issued an apology immediately. A UK fan wrote on Reddit, "HYBE's silence makes it seem like they don't think it's a big deal. But to us, it is." The question burned across fan communities. Was this just a careless mistake, or a sign of something deeper, a glimpse of how disconnected HYBE had become from the artists it once protected so fiercely? On October 15th, fans launched an online petition demanding an official apology from HYBE and a full review of its quality control team for artist-related projects. Within 24 hours, it reached over 200,000 signatures. The petition's message was clear and emotional. "We are not angry because of a typo. We are angry because it keeps happening. We are angry because Jimin and Jungkook are not interchangeable. They are individuals who deserve recognition for their own art. This wasn't the first time fans had organized a movement. But this time, it felt different, more united, more mature, and fueled by a sense of emotional fatigue. Armies weren't attacking the company out of hate. They were fighting for respect. Local Korean outlets began covering the story under the headline, HYBE faces fan backlash over repeated oversights in artist management. By then, the damage had already been done. What should have been a week celebrating Jimin's artistic triumph had turned into a case study on corporate detachment and the fragility of artist-fan trust. Ironically, Jungkook, whose name had been at the center of the controversy, had nothing to do with the situation. Yet he, too, became part of the emotional whirlwind. On fan forums, debates broke out. Some defended Jungkook, emphasizing that he shouldn't be blamed. Others pointed out how his name being used instead of Jimin symbolized a deeper issue, the blurring of individual identities within BTS's solo era. We love Jungkook. This is not his fault, one army wrote on X. But the fact that HYBE mixed their names up shows they still see BTS as one block, not as 7 independent artists with unique stories. Jungkook himself remained silent, currently serving in the military. But fans couldn't help recalling the bond between him and Jimin, a brotherhood forged through years of shared struggle, laughter, and growth. Would Jungkook have been disappointed if he knew how this had unfolded? Would he have spoken up for Jimin if he were here? These were the quiet questions echoing across fan timelines. For armies who have followed BTS from the beginning, this controversy struck a nerve because it symbolized something larger, the ongoing fight for individuality in a post-group era. Since BTS began their military service in 2023, each member had pursued unique artistic paths. Jimin explored emotional artistry through exhibitions, choreography, and humanitarian work. Jungkook ventured into pop dominance with 7, 3D, and Standing Next to You. They were no longer just members of BTS. They were artists redefining what it means to grow beyond fame. And yet, in a single printed guide, that progress seemed erased. This isn't about one mistake, said a fan from Thailand in a viral Weverse post. It's about years of watching HYBE mix up merch, release info late, or overshadow one member with another. This moment just made it impossible to ignore. The emotional tone of the fandom shifted from anger to heartbreak, because for armies, BTS's story has always been built on trust, and every time that trust is chipped away, it leaves scars. This wasn't the first incident. Over the past 2 years, fans had noted a pattern of similar mistakes: mislabeled content, mixed up credits, and promotional material featuring the wrong names. For instance, earlier in 2024, promotional videos for Jungkook's Golden album accidentally used clips from Jimin's Like Crazy behind-the-scenes film. In another case, Weverse briefly posted an update meant for RM's playlist under V's account. Each time, fans forgave, but they didn't forget SO when this latest blunder happened. It wasn't seen in isolation. It was viewed as the culmination of years of careless management that contradicted BTS's very ethos: precision, respect, and artistic integrity. BTS built their empire on hard work. HYBE is slowly tearing it down with carelessness, one fan wrote in frustration. Now, as the dust begins to settle, the question remains, what will HYBE do next? Some insiders suggest the company is planning to release a quiet apology through its subsidiary label, Big Hit Music, addressing the technical confusion behind the exhibition guide. Others say HYBE may simply move on, hoping fans' emotions fade as new BTS-related announcements roll out for 2026. But fans aren't just looking for an apology anymore. They're looking for reform. They want assurance that Jimin, Jungkook, and every member will be treated as the individual artists they've worked so hard to become. They want a new standard of respect. And most of all, they want BTS's legacy, 12 years strong, to be remembered for its music and heart, not for corporate missteps.